And we're live. Welcome everybody to da, 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 Whiteboard Wednesdays. That's my handwriting. So the whiteboard part is going to be a bit here and there. I got like one special whiteboard actual segment. The rest that you might see later on is going to be more statistics that I was going to draw from. Uh, so we'll have that to look forward to. Um, I have quite a bit of information regarding certain linebackers. So, yeah, this is the show. In case you're wondering, yes, I am wearing a jacket inside my own room because it is that cold right now. Um, I'm currently getting some other stuff prepared to go to the game this Sunday. Whew, excited for it. This will be the first time I'm actually going to drive there. So, but nerve wracking. Um, but it's going to be fun at the same time. So, yeah, it's going to be good. We're going to get some good footage. Have a good possible film breakdown review. Get the all 22 footage from where I'd be sitting. So that'd be nice. So yeah, if you're just tuning in, hey. So I saw a couple of people saying certain things about Mykal Walker and certain things about Deion Jones. You know, certain positive things about Mykal Walker and certain negative things regarding Deion Jones. Maybe saying like, hey, you should probably trade him. Try to get some value out of him in the offseason because he simply isn't doing it what he used to do right now. Now, there's truth to that, yeah. But this is a different role for him. They've mentioned this before. Like they switched his positions around. He's not hearing the calls. He's hearing it from Foye instead of having to send it off to the players. A couple of variables as far as like what he actually does on the field, right? But there was one or two games where he wasn't there, so Mykal Walker had to step up and play that position. Now, Mykal Walker was the fourth pick in the draft from the 2020 draft class. Deion was, obviously the second round pick in 2016. Honestly, he was picked like right after Sua Cravens. It's ridiculous. But anyways, yeah, obviously the expectations are going to be higher for Debo in order to perform really well into this defense. The same really wasn't said much of Mykal Walker because he just didn't simply have the snaps for it in order to back up that saying about him, saying like, oh yeah, he should play more. Well, we didn't really see him, so yeah, obviously that's why we wanted to have him play more. But how has he been doing with the opportunities that he's been given, right? So that's what I wanted to figure out. I wanted to get a sample size where, Mykal Walker has his full game, and does that compare to any games that Deion Jones has had in that same spot? And I found one. So I offer you this thing right here. Can anyone see that well? I don't think I've gotten a single comment so far. Yeah. So from left to right on your screen, that's going to be the amount of plays and the percentage of plays that there were in total. How many solo tackles that they've had, how many passes defended they've had, how many quarterback hits. And then on the very right is the missed tackle percentage. All right. How's it going, King Kale? Good to know that someone's actually watching. All right. So, yeah, as you can tell, I split it up from run plays, the guy on the top at 25, Front plays, the guy on the bottom had 28. All right, you got 4s up in here as well. Howdy, howdy. Yeah, pretty even numbers, right? The yards after the catch right there allowed 37 for the guy on top, 35 for the guy on below. The completion percentage when they were being targeted, 66.7% versus 71.4%. You know, how many pressures did they have? They both had a quarterback hit, so how many pressures did they have in total? The guy on the top had 0. The guy on the bottom had 2. And then right underneath the missed tackle percentage, you have the amount of blitzes. You have 7 versus the 5 below. So for anyone that's watching right now, I want you guys to try to guess which one is Deion and which one is Walker. See if I can get some guesses. Who's Deion? Which one is Mykal Walker? Okay, we got a comment about Mykal Walker from Sensor Forte. How's it going? All right, so King Kill decides to say that the guy on the top is Deion Jones, right? Want to get that quick confirmation for you. Yeah, 76 plays. Okay. All right, Clay Melton, how's it going? Okay, so you're saying on the top is Mykal Walker. Okay. This is the problem when I'm like by myself. This kind of situations. I want some crowd participation. I mean, some days are pretty active, so. I think you guys you had your own from the call on Tyrone. You had his show, then you have mine. May not have gotten the notifications. I don't know, but interesting. Anyone else that wants to make a quick jab at this? Whose performance is at the top and whose performance is at the bottom? Is it going to be Deion or Mykal Walker? Because someone has said the right answer, obviously. The site numbers would be complete. Yeah, there were a few stats I didn't really have to hide. I mean, I don't think either one had a sack in this game. Otherwise, I would have said it here. But yeah, those numbers are close, you know? I think that speaks enough about itself as it is, and I haven't even revealed who it is yet. So, okay. Let me bring out the answer. Wow. Okay, it was Deion Jones at the top. That was his game against New Orleans. And then on the bottom was Mykal Walker's only game where he was starting against the Jaguars. They had the same role, mind you. So it's interesting to see how the snaps and the production, the solo tackles, the passes defended, the quarterback hits, the amount of blitzes that they have. I mean, you can say that Mykal Walker actually had a better game. Had more pressures, less missed tackle percentage, less yards after catch, ever so slightly. But yeah, these are pretty shocking results. I was not expecting these guys to have that close of a game that they did. Yeah, that was pretty interesting, I thought. Hey, I'm not against it. That's what this is for. You know, when looking at the snap counts, he played 5 snaps against Carolina and still made his presence felt in that game. So I'd say try to throw him in more often. I think there may be some truth to the numbers, seeing that their games on average can be very, very similar to each other, despite having vastly different experience. Hey, Mykal Walker is the cheaper option at the moment. I'd say give him a chance. Maybe you can do something with Deion Jones, saying that these are pretty comparable numbers. Now this is just like one game out of however many in a season. Obviously, these numbers can dip and ebb and flow, but it's good to know that they can be on the same page on any given game. Tony Wright, how's it going? He says, this is why I said in your last chat that we trade Deion Jones, who's still in his prime, for a third-round draft pick, and trade Ridley for a second-round draft pick, and that's with the 12 draft picks you've already said that we have. I think some of these guys are going to have to be for depth purposes. I think we might have a little bit more draft picks than I think we might have a little bit more draft picks than money that we can spend on each individual player. But I think that when looking at these kind of numbers, there are a couple of problems that can be fixed from within already. You got to understand that even though that we have our own draft class, this own rookie draft class right now, we've seen some pretty good things from just about everyone this season. Last year's draft class has their own resurgence this season. Everyone from AJ Terrell, Jalen Hawkins, we've had Matt Hennessy, we've had Mykal Walker, obviously. Like, these guys have all had to step up too. And then from the 2019 draft class, there's not a whole lot of those guys already. But guys up in the front, like Chris Lindstrom and Caleb McGarry. So there are a lot of young players on this team. So when I see that there's a lot of little problems everywhere, I can live with that. It's not a one massive problem anymore. It's not like, oh my goodness, like we're giving up so many passing yards, or we're giving up so many rushing yards, or we're not doing enough on either side of the ball. So I heard that this Falcons season is like the Falcons right now might just be where they deserve to be at the moment. And where this is the best possible scenario for them. Now, why am I saying that? So one way to look at it is this. Given the point differential, when we face teams that are either projected already into the playoffs or were playoff hopeful teams, it was pretty negative. Like minus 100 plus. Yeah, that's bad. But anyone that is kind of around where we are, we've risen to the occasion and beat those teams below us. So what that tells me is when the roster is about the same for both opponents, our coaches know how to elevate our roster to show that, hey, we are the better team there. But when it comes to the point where roster plus coaching still can't equate to just the bare roster of our opponent, that's where we struggle. And still, there are a few games ahead of us where we still have a decent chance of winning. I say you take a look at what we've done so far versus what we have. Like, that's a pretty good ratio there. And when you pair that up with what we can do in the future in order to solve some certain financial problems down the road. You know, we've had a couple of discussions like that already in our Discord. Um, I'd say that we're in a really good position right now, and we're still like in the top 10 in the draft somehow. So it's like, yeah, I mean, on like, to be fair, a lot of teams up in the front ahead of us already have like back-to-back picks. So, um, let's get into some of these comments. So, Tony White says we can get rid of our 6th and 7th round picks for future picks. Like that idea. Shane Elliott, how's it going? After those trades, we'd have a 1st round, 3 second rounders, 2 third rounders, 2 fourth rounders, a 5th, a 6th, and a 7th. Hmm. Hmm. You also say we might not win on Sunday against San Francisco, nor might we win at Buffalo because of the difference in talent level. So I say might because both of these teams have shown that they're inconsistent themselves. And both of these games are away for us. You can't knock the fact that we don't have a chance here, or that we have a chance here. So let's get into some of these other things. I wanted to be able to dive into these a little bit more, but for the time being, this will have to do. So I'm going to take this down because it might be in the way. And now I want to show you guys some of the raw numbers that I was looking to look at. So what you'll see here from what I'm showing you right now is going to be all these linebackers in run defense situations. So I wanted to grab a decent sample of size as far as the types of players versus how many games and all that sort of stuff, right? So in this sample, I've taken the last 10 games that we've played and the last 10 games of, this NFL season. So you have all sorts of linebackers here, right? And I wanted to make sure that I grouped them all together so that they kind of have the same role or a similar role on each of their respective teams. So while it's not going to be exactly the same, they're roughly going to be in the same position with the same assignments. So that's what I really wanted to touch on. And those in white were either our guys or Fred Warner that were going up against this season. So I wanted to pay attention to them especially. But let's take a look at some of the numbers from like the top, the bottom, and people that fall in between that, right? So if you can, put down a number for who you're paying attention to. It doesn't even have to be us, right? So write down the number. It goes from 2 to 21. Give me the number that you're going to focus on. So it could be 3, it could be 16, it could be 19, it can be 5, it can be 13. However you want to do it. I want to see some numbers. Let's see who you're paying attention to, right? Because I highlighted those in white for Foye, Devo, and then Fred Warner. These guys were the only ones that fit into these categories. So take this here, give them where they are because these names are going to be gone, all right? So I just want you to focus right now. This is who you'd be paying attention to. Because if you start to mess around and be like, oh, wait, well, I wanted to pay attention to who was here. I might do that for you. I might not. So just a fair warning. All right. So in red, from the rushing snaps was who had the most rushing snaps. Whereas in blue, the lowest. In red had the highest number of solo tackles. In blue had the lowest. And you'll kind of see where people lie so far as where the numbers are. These are in order of a particular stat. You just haven't seen the stat yet. That's why everything kind of looks all jumbled. So I'm just going to let you take a look at that for just a moment. And then I'm going to show you a bit more. And if you're wondering where I got this information from, I got this from Sports Info Solutions. So you can take a look at there. Over here are the combined tackles, the tackles for losses, the forced fumbles, fumble recoveries, that sort of thing. So again, in red, you had the most. In blue, you had the fewest. Tackles for loss. In red, you had the most. In blue, you had the fewest. Some of them are also zeroed out, but I also took into amount of games that they've played respectively. So for fumbles, there's only like a handful that had one this so far, but I want to say that was maybe Darius Leonard that had 2. All right, moving on. Okay, here's another one. Tackles short of the first down, broken tackles, and in broken tackle yardage. So again, in red, you had the most broken tackles, or the most tackles short of the first down, blue in the least. So this is how the initial ranking was. Then you had broken tackles. Again, red is fewest, blue is the most. And the one last one is the missed tackles and then any possible holding penalties drawn. So a lot of zeros in the missed tackles, which is good. But then there's only 3 blues that are tied for 3 missed tackles. Interesting to know who they are, though. So, how'd you do? Were you able to keep up? Was I moving too fast for anyone? Let me know. So Fred was number 16. So if you followed 16, that'd be everything that Fred Warner was, because if I put his number there, it'd be 16. Like I said, what was in 3 and 19 was Debo and Foye. So that was just some of the raw numbers in terms of stopping the run. And I think that, I mean, especially Foye. Like, Foye is someone that we definitely need to keep at whatever cost that is. Like, I'm looking at these numbers across the board for Foye, and they match up pretty well with those at the top and the upper echelon of like, oh, well, we consider this guy, and this guy is among like the best linebackers in the league. Foye is up there in just about every single statistic so far, and in terms of stopping the run. And these are just the past 10 games, but it's good to know that whoever has that momentum going for them, like, these games will be the ones where they will actually shine as far as their where their position is. So despite everything being relatively similar as far as like the snap counts and whatnot, I know that certain people like missed a few games more, so that's why there was a little bit more of a disparity. But yeah, when it comes to like the broken tackles, I thought that was interesting to show you guys. Tackles short of the first down, I thought that was pretty interesting. Foye had 43 tackles short of the first down. Like, that's insane. And then what I'm going to show you last are all of the plays in pass coverage. So here's the list again. Now, I wanted to do a little bit more of a I wanted to really crunch these numbers. So I don't want any linebackers where they were had a blitz and all that kind of stuff, and that are really help them out. I wanted to say, hey, if there was like 5 guys, I'll say 5. If there were 5 guys rushing or less, and you had coverage snaps within here, doesn't matter what route. All that matters is the position. All that matters is where you were at on the field, and what your assignment is. Running back, tight end, receiver, does not matter. All right. And then I also kind of measured out the average or the air yards for the target. And I wanted to make sure that it wasn't like a bunch of checkdowns and whatnot that they were going to take advantage of easily. But it was also not just going to be like one, I don't know, big play or whatever that they gave up. So I fiddled around with some of the numbers. So if they're not like the actual raw numbers that you've seen, this one is across all games so far. So I didn't really scale back from. I just wanted to say, like, hey, who overall this season has had some of the better pass coverage snaps at linebacker? So again, pretty similar list, but new names, some names dropped off, but ultimately there were about 20 more linebackers that fit into this category. And just to make it easier, like I said, Foye was the only Falcon linebacker on this list. Deion didn't make this list, and neither did Fred Warner. So instead you have Azeez Al-Shaair, who is going to take his place for him. He's also started a lot of these games. And you'll start to notice that I completely forgot like how to sort these out in terms of like the color coding. So, all right. Now here's this one for you. You have coverage snaps, targets, catchable passes. All right. I'm going to do the same thing over here for those, I don't know, maybe paying attention to me. Write down a number. Trying to see if you can follow someone. If you want to follow Foye, he would be number 15. If you wanted to follow a 49er linebacker, he would be number 12. If you want to follow anyone else, like guys like Demario Davis make this list, and whoever you consider. Eric Hendricks is on here. Bobby Wagner is on here again. Denzel Perryman is on here for the Raiders. I didn't think that he would be as good as advertised. Devondre Campbell is on here, number 10. He's had a really good season so far. But yeah, like what you can tell right here is, these are going to change by who they are. All right. So moving along. Again, now let's go back to here. And again, you got coverage snaps, you got targets, catchable passes. And red is Foye, and white is a 49ers linebacker in Azeez. Someone's paying attention to Bobby Wagner. just, he's the standard. Why wouldn't you? If only I had enough time in order to write this down for myself on here. I didn't. Yeah, Shane, definitely. This is why I wanted to incorporate, all the top linebackers when it comes to certain parameters. But I'm going to take that off so that people can see. Moving on here, you got the completions, yards, and touchdowns allowed. So I think in green, I did the bad stuff. And in blue, I did some of the good stuff. So whoever was at 16 actually had the fewest yards allowed, but also only had 18 completions against him. So I don't know, though. Even if those numbers were to double, I think that guy would still be underneath Wagner, if I'm not mistaken. Like if you give this guy 36 completions against him, double the yardage, I think he'd be at 224, which is still kind of in between there. Also seen that Foye may or may not be responsible for 2 touchdowns that was given up on the season. All right, and here's the next one. You have interceptions, dropped interceptions, and then, I don't know, interception yards. Again, whoever's at top, you had 2 interceptions. A lot of zeros on this one, but, that's to be expected. 3 linebackers have 1 dropped interception. That could be crucial. One of them is Aziz. And then the last one that I will show you guys is passes deflected, intended air yards, and any defensive pass interferences, which surprised me that they were all at 0. So, yeah, corners and safeties are definitely getting the short end of the stick there when it comes to this defensive PI calls. But yeah, in blue, you had the most passes defended from Aziz. It's pretty surprising to me. Intended air yards being at 102, though. Given that the lowest was 74. And in blue, 409 intended air yards. That is far and away the most. So I think that kind of tells me that guy's been stretched down the field a lot more often than anyone else. And yeah, that's about it so far. If I just get this back up on here. But yeah, that was pretty interesting to really see those raw stats like that. I wish I had a little bit more of a narrative, but I had to rush things a little bit. Really busy week as I'm trying to prepare for the game. In more ways than one, might I add. So, any thoughts about what you've seen so far? Any thoughts about, what the linebackers look right now, what Deion Jones looks like that and compared to the rest of the guys, and then what Mykal Walker looks like in compared to Deion Jones? So you get that good comparison there. Even though he's got a very small sample size, I think if you look at a per game basis, if you give him an average or the similar amount of starts, he could be that guy for us too. So moving forward, I trust him to be a long-term solution. As I see, we have a completely different conversation going on in the chat. All right, nice. That's fine. Don't mind me just doing a live show for you guys. Okay. um, so yeah. Any thoughts? Any thoughts on this stuff so far? I think for me, well, I mean, I've already said it, but hey, what this shows me, Foye is legit, right? He hung up there with the likes of, Bobby Wagner and them. Those numbers weren't too far off from each other, if you really think about it. The only other number that I wanted to include here that I didn't get a chance to, but I still looked it up for you guys, was in defending the run, what was the average amount of yards allowed before the tackle, right? So looking that up on Sports Info Solutions, I come to find out that on average, Deion Jones actually has his average at worst 3 yards, but at best about 2.2 yards past the line of scrimmage. There we go. AJ the Beast following orders. Understanding the assignment, I see. He says every time Mykal is in the game, he's always making plays. And yeah, he had 5 snaps against Carolina and still got a pick 6 out of him. So those basic stats will show that, hey, 1 in every 5 plays, he's going to make a game-changing play. I know we really can't hold that up, but as much as I want to see the improvement from Mykal Walker, I also know that, hey, Foye is that dude. Clay Melton says that he hates it, but he might get the feeling that they don't sign Foye. I'm hoping I'm wrong. I think that eventually they will get into the scenario where, hey, you have a choice, right? You take a look at these linebacker positions, saying that, hey, one is going to ask for money, the other one's going to ask for even more money. You got to make a sacrifice here. And I think they're both smart enough in order to understand that, hey, matching production, pound for pound, Foye has been the better backer. At least for this season, given their respective roles. Now, you switched them last year, right? Debo was the play caller. Foye was the guy to receive the play calls from him. And there really wasn't that great of a disparity. But even then, like last year, we wanted to say, hey, Foye was doing really good in those spots too. So I think you really pay this man. I think if you have to have anyone walk out the door right now, it might as well be Deion Jones, because you have a really good replacement for him right behind him, and Mykal Walker already on the roster. So you don't have to draft him. You don't have to trade for him. You don't have to really train him up and let him wait until he gets the proper snaps. I think he's already here. Now, what's going to be the tricky part is finding out everyone else on the defense, especially the front 7. I think long-term, I trust whoever is in the back 4, whether the 2 starting corners. I think we're going to find the answer that we want at the second cornerback position, and the 2 safeties. We've seen some really good production from both Jalen Hawkins and Richie Grant, so that'll be good to know. I don't know if we're going to keep either one of either Harmon or Eric Harris, and I ran the numbers about both of those too, right? This wasn't really about them, but I'm going to say that, to my surprise, I didn't really have a strong opinion either way, but to my surprise, Eric Harris has been being significantly better than Duron Harmon. Even though Duron Harmon has 1 interception, that's the only stat that he has to say over Eric Harris. So, believe it or not, it actually was a pretty significant loss. Now, am I going to sit here and say that Eric Harris was a good or great safety? Time will tell, but this year, is he going to be in the likes of like a Jesse Bates or Justin Simmons or Tyrann Mathieu? No. All right, so is he going to be someone that we're going to have a hard time replacing? I don't really think so. I don't really see it that way because I've already kind of seen it again from who we have behind these guys. So, really good thing so far. And the fact that they're all young, my only concern might be that they all might be asking for a certain amount of money that we may not be able to give to them. Although the cap is increasing significantly too. We will be getting a TV deal. Things will be going back. And obviously inflation exists as well. So might I see a scenario where we keep a lot of these core guys and make some of these guys our new nucleus moving forward? I see that a lot too. And on the offensive side of the ball, it's, again, pretty similar story. Now, what's different about the offensive side of the ball is some of our marquee guys are 30 and above in the likes of Matt Ryan, Jake Matthews, Cordell Patterson. These guys are significantly up there in age. I don't know about Jake Matthews, though, considering that Andrew Whitworth is playing at 40, which has honestly never really happened. And he comes from a family where of true longevity. So I don't really think I have a problem with him. It's just he might not be asking for a certain amount of money. I don't think he's going to get paid like that way. Like, he's not going to get the contract that Trent Williams got for the 49ers or Bakhtiari for that matter. But because he might not be in that regard, that might benefit us moving forward because we know when watching him that outside of there are a few, but they're poorly timed penalties, he's been holding it down too. Chris Lindstrom, one of the only few guards that actually hasn't allowed a sack, which I thought was kind of, I don't know if I completely trust that stat given my own film research, but I'll give him a pass. Richard Kelsey, well, hey, welcome to my conversation. You're saying keep Grady at all costs too. Yeah, love him. Playmaker, on wherever you put him on the defensive line, you just got to give him that extra help. And I think that he wants to be here too, which is really good for us. So, Shelly says, I know y'all don't want to hear this, but I would trade Grady as well. Oh, jeez. Yeah, I can see why you wanted to say keep Grady, but we could get a late first-round pick for him and get Jordan Davis to be the nose tackle. I don't know if going from Grady to Jordan Davis would be the improvement that you might want. They're both good, but they're both good in different ways, like very different ways. What I've seen from Grady so far is going to be what you would have to sacrifice from getting Jordan Davis. Grady gets off the ball really quick, really explosive, constant motor. He's pretty much on the field all the time. And you can move him wherever you want on the defensive line. You're going to have to sacrifice pretty much all of that if you want Jordan Davis. Just saying, I don't think that would be the same way to compare the two. Yeah, you don't want to hear that, bro. But yeah, Mr. Beasley, I say, hey, if we're gonna have a guy he's the identity of our team, of our defense, I'd say let him be the face of it. And then the next guy is going to be Foye, and then the guy behind him, technically, in the secondary is going to be AJ. I like that trio. And I think that you can still work with that down the road. Now, if anyone, give him someone on the outside which I heard that this draft class is really, really deep when it comes to that, I'd be liking some really good things from there. AJ the Beast says, honestly, what I would do is re-sign Foye and try to get a pick for Deion in the offseason with more O-line or D-line help, even though I love Jones, but I'll end up starting Mykal starting next season. Yeah. I'd be fine with that too. Probably more defensive line help than offensive line. I think because I say that the defensive line is getting, they have more veterans, is what I'll say. And at this point, there's no excuse as to why they're so bad and why they're still starting. There's no excuse for that. So it's like you have to replace them guys first. All right. Everyone on the offensive line, apart from Jake Matthews, is really young still. So give them their time. They're going to work out their kinks, and things will be fine there moving forward. Because we can have these games where, hey, Carolina was still a pass rush and still a front four that we were afraid of back in, I don't know, week 8 or whatever. And then we really couldn't do much against them. And then when they were against us on that game, they went for over 200 yards. Now we let them go for under 100. I think that you're seeing significant improvement. The fact that we beat them in rushing yards when we knew coming into the game that that's all they were going to try to do, that speaks volumes. All right. Knowing that we can face a team where we go in thinking, hey, this is what they're going to do. We expect that. They give it to us, and we still stop it. That's what we've been seeing. Even against Tampa Bay. Despite the loss, we hung in there as a team. And you might say we need to draft a pure, not a tackle and move him in the guard, not a guard and move him to the tackle. Draft a pure left guard and a running back with the 2 second-round draft picks that we do have. I'd be fine with that unless, picture this scenario. I don't care who you want to try to get in the first round right now, but in the second round, both of those picks, edge rushers. I think there's your duo right there. That's your duo that you've been missing this entire time. Whether or not you want to keep Fowler here is, that'd be up to them. I want to try to get some younger guys that still match them in terms of talent, but is a little bit more money friendly for us, if you will. But yeah, absolutely. Keeping Grady Jarrett is a priority for us every single offseason. Shane says that Jordan Davis has the same amount of Grady as Grady now, and he takes on 2 or 3 blocks a lot. I mean, they kind of both do, but I agree with you then that analogy. Trade Deion Jones as we have Mykal Walker to replace him and re-sign Foye to a long-term deal. Yeah. Nathan, how's it going? You're saying shit. Well, sorry, it's not for me. I was trying to say that too, and there were a few mock drafts that had certain wide receivers fall to us. I think that's going to be a very iffy pick right there. It'd be very controversial yet again, if you can, if it's possible, what I would try to do with that first round pick, try to find your next Cordell Patterson. He's not going to stick around for long. But once you get a guy into that building that says, hey, guess what? You are our next Cordell Patterson, and we're going to have Patterson in here in the room so that we both know that we can kind of feed off of each other as far as like what you want to do moving forward. if that's possible. Now, if it's not possible, then say maybe go somewhere else. Maybe you want to grab the center, to completely revamp the offensive line from that perspective. Try to get someone that doesn't, get pushed back 5 yards on every fourth down play. Do you want to get a corner in that first round? There's been reports that Derek Stingley could fall to us there. So having that paired up with AJ Terrell, and then we'd have our own version of a very nasty corner duo. I think we've already kind of worked on what we could from our safety position. But like I said, you want to get, I don't know, maybe go three for three straight in the pass rushing group and just try to get your first 3 picks just all D-line. Some of these guys are going to have to be like outside linebackers, of course, but yeah, interesting. But yeah, hopefully we can find someone to replace what we can get from Cordell Patterson moving forward, because I don't expect him to be here forever as much as he wants to be here. I know that sometimes contractually, financially, and just his age-wise, those are all the kind of things where it's like, hey, I want someone else that has that kind of reputation from him and can do similar things. Even better if you can get someone of a similar body style too. So let's see here. Hey, Mr. Motivator. How you doing, my man? Yeah, Jordan Davis 6'6", 350. Grady's about 6 feet. I'd say maybe like 310. But that's not a matter of saying that Brady's undersized, because if you want to get technical, Aaron Donald's very undersized too. But that's not really stopping him because he's got the techniques mastered. And I think that's where Grady is trying to be in the best way that he can. Do I see Jordan Davis ever really doing that? You want to be hopeful, but I'd be leaning towards not really. Albert Bennett, how's it going? He says, I would rather go either O-line, probably not, go online because you're already here, or cornerback. The edge class is deep all the way to the 5th round. So as much as I want to say that, hey, like, yeah, this edge class is really deep, I just don't want to get like the worst of the best. I want to see if we can get some of these top guys here, and then really then you can boast about our defense. I've seen this one video earlier today about AJ Terrell and about all the things that he does as far as a role in our defense, and how he makes everything else seem a lot simpler for the other guys to do because of how aggressive and how physical he can be, but also how often it comes in his favor. So but I mean, yeah, like I can see that. But if it's at the cost of getting rid of Grady Jarrett, ooh, I have a tough time rebuilding that locker room, is all I'm saying. We're saying we need a Julio Jones and a Calvin Ridley. Well, if you can try to get them in one player, and I don't know, you might mess around and play all the games. That's something, You're saying. Hey, Kelsey. I'm off topic. I just love your show. Thank you very much. I'm tired, but I just can't turn it off. That was nice of you. That's probably not for me. Yeah, I'm hearing some really good things from Traylon Burks and Drake London too. But yeah, maybe get some height to these guys. Just whoever we draft, just like give them like a ton of milk or whatever. Just like, hey, just build up your calcium, build up those bones. If we make those two trades, we'll have a third second-round pick and a second third-round pick to fill draft needs. We already have 2 fourth-rounders because of the Julio trade. Plus, it might help the cap. Well, that's good to know. We need to replace one of our linebackers. Also, one of them will be gone, Evo or Foye. Well, I mean, that's what this whole thing was about. And I'd say Devo's the easier one to replace, considering Mykal Walker is already kind of filling in his shoes already, despite a limited number of snaps. When he's on the field for just as much, you can put up very, very similar numbers regarding his production. So, looking at this again, for anyone that tuned in at the time where they didn't see this, I put these two samples up. This was Debo against New Orleans, and then this was Mykal Walker against Jacksonville below it. Very similar stats. So, again, this is just one sample size. Was this Deion Jones' best game? I'd say no. But the fact that there is a game where, on average, they can have the same productivity in our defense for us, and in some ways, you can say that Mykal Walker was somewhat better. So there's that for you. Let's get back over here. Future's really, really bright at safety with Jalen Hawkins and Richie Grant. Yeah. Again, how young they are. I do like that. You know, they're not going to be like the first round draft picks and expect all that much money, but it's going to be rather the productivity that they bring. So, yeah, Reggie Kelsey says, we need to work on this defense. I'd love to see teams with shutdown defenses, and again, keep But yeah, I mean, we might get to the point where we're going to be a defensive team for once in our lives. Corey Shaw, you better stop sleeping on presidency players. Yeah, I mean, Mykal Walker for us, but you know, Derek Carr and Devontae Adams, they were slinging it back in the day. What's not shown is how well the opposing linemen are the Saints in Jacksonville. What do you mean, like against the Saints offensive line and the Jacksonville offensive line? Is that what you wanted to say? William Melton says, look at our record. I know we're really just beating the bad teams, but we couldn't even do that last year consistently. Maybe we don't have as many needs as we think. Yeah, I say we have a lot of little ones. I don't think we have like one or two major ones anymore. But hey, that's the greatness of coaching right now, is that, you know, hey, if the roster's even, our guys are going to edge it out because that's how we were coached. We were coached with a lot better discipline in certain situational football. And although we've had a few games where we definitely needed to allow our opponents to score less points in the fourth quarter than they ended up doing. If it's a one-score game, I have more confidence in us and that we can get the job done. Because I've seen more examples of that going in our favor than actual losses. I do like that. Sean says to say, Sam Williams from Mississippi would be a good steal in the later rounds in the draft. He gets off the ball very fast, but he could be another Vic. Well, if he's a Vic Beasley type and we get him in the later rounds, I'd be fine with that. It's just a lot of people had a lot of flack to say about Vic Beasley because he was a first round pick. What I'm saying is Jacksonville isn't the Saints from your sample size. That's true, but when you take a look at what was done in each game, what was just their base assignments, because you might say that, but James Robinson is no slouch at running back. And if we can make a team look bad against us, that's all the more reason to praise the guys that we have right now. So knowing that our opponent can give us a similar production value for our linebacker. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. Ever just stop mid-sentence and be like, what the heck am I talking about at this point? But no, like, I kind of see what you're saying, but I'm also just saying, like, hey, he can look good regardless of the opponent. And if you want to say that, well, he didn't do good against this team, again, Mykal Walker averages about 5 or 7 snaps per game. So his only game where he was able to do anything, for him to put up any sort of statistical value, the same as Debo, in a very crucial game, I like that so far. Is this going to be the norm moving forward? Hopefully not. Maybe it's better. Like look at the productivity from another 4th-round linebacker that we had in Foye. So I trust the linebacker group, especially because of how well they've been built so far in this defense. And at that point, it won't really matter about who our opponent is. Because even if you want to say that, you also have to take into account that we were looking pretty good against New England. To make that a close game, for them to force a bunch of field goals. I don't really want to talk about the game offensively, but defensively, we made that a relatively close game too. So it's like that wasn't as much of a blowout as that could have been. And even in this game, like if we could solve some of our offensive issues and punch those drives into the end zone instead of having to rely on 3 field goals from Younghoe Koo, this game isn't even close, right? And we had a few more opportunities from this Jacksonville game too. So yeah, I mean that was pretty much everything that I wanted to share with you guys. I know someone that was out there that liked it. It's yeah. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you guys trust Mykal Walker? Let's say we got rid of Debo, we got some trade value out of him. I don't know what that would be. Maybe that's my next question. What would you guys reckon we could possibly get? Best case scenario. I don't know about best case scenario, but realistic scenario. Like, what do you see us trying to get for Deion Jones? And then scale of 1 to 10, how confident do you feel about Mykal Walker? So that'll be the last thing that we'll do, and we'll kind of keep this short because y'all might have already had a stream. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to catch it on live, though. I'm gonna listen back to it tomorrow at work. So are you saying a 5? Hey, keeping it respectful. Would you trade both of the 2nd-round picks to come back into the 1st round? And if so, who would you trade? Who would you pick with both 1st-round picks? I don't know. I don't know for either one, right? If we have 2 1st-round picks, and then we don't pick in the 2nd, to me, it's just going to be a matter of the strength of the draft class itself. Are there two positions up at the very top where we would say, hey, a guy this high up in the draft board is the only way to solve this problem? All right, so when I take a look at some of the biggest problems that we have on our team, to me, it isn't so much of like we can't protect Matt because I trust in them in order to improve moving forward. Like I said, everyone's so young. To me, it's been the wide receiver group. But if the wide receiver group doesn't match up to what we want from it, then I say that we have to wait until the value matches the need there. Because we want to try to go for a best player available idea. Because that's Terry's way of thinking when it comes to these drafts, you know. So rather than try to fill up certain needs, I'd say, hey, let's get who falls to us, see where we are at that position. If we like our chances with that, then we'll take it, you know? So we might end up in a scenario where we might not only have like 3 wide receivers on the roster, but then we take a corner. You know, it's like who was the better player there versus who was the biggest need for us. Whenever you try to reach for a need that might sacrifice your ceiling as far as the talent in the draft class. So that's kind of what I'm thinking on that. But overall, you said 7. Okay, feeling all right about him. Nathan with a 5. Jay Murphy with a 5. Everyone's been, you know, I'd say at best it averaged to about a 7 or about a 6. But yeah, like that's what I'm kind of thinking. Like if you want to take a wide receiver or a corner for both of them, maybe go corner first and then receiver. But these positions, they're also really known for. I would probably suggest like a higher draft bust rate. You know, think of these recent corners and these recent receivers. A few of them hit, but a few more don't. But I don't think that the safety there, like trying to get the highest floor, would really help us out here. And the nation saying our problem lies in the trenches on both sides of the ball. If we build there, we can build elsewhere. I agree. But I'd say build more on the defensive side first, then the offensive side. As crazy as that sounds, again, I like Matthews. I don't think he needs to be replaced right now. I really like Lindstrom. He definitely doesn't need to be replaced right now. I'm liking Mayfield there at left guard, especially when it comes to run blocking. And he'll take his lumps eventually in the pass blocking game, but you know that's to be expected as a rookie. McGarry has stepped up to the point where I don't think people have really been paying attention to him. You know, people flip out over the PFF grades for him. But when I see him on the field, I don't really see him having that many problems. So the biggest flaw right there might be your center. And there is a very highly regarded center that might fall to us if we were to reach in like the 12 to 16 range in the draft selection. So that's one way that you can go about it. And then from the center, you kind of fix everything else. Another thing that was talked about in the Discord at least was, hey, what if you try to get Ben Jones from the Tennessee? You know, he knows Arthur Smith's offensive system. He's also still a really good talent there. He's a veteran presence in the center group, and that's something that I feel that we would definitely need. You know, because everyone else is just really young there. I think he can solve a lot of those problems when it comes to communication, the timing, and even though it's going to be another center for Matt to have to deal with, I don't think he has much of a problem with that switching over. I think that'll be fine. That chemistry will develop. And if you go that route, then you don't even have to draft anyone. Maybe that's what Debo could be worth then for the Titans. I mean, that's kind of weird having all these former Falcons go to the Titans, but it's all about, hey, building your own team first and what you can remove from it. So, is that a possibility? I say maybe try to explore that real quick. Like what's a linebacker worth when you want a center? What's a center worth when you want a linebacker? Everyone thinks of that differently. But hey, we took that risk last time with Alex Mack. We pried him from the Browns. I don't know about pride, but I think it was just we got him regardless. So that's the biggest flaw that I would see. And then from there, you might want to build up the future at left tackle, but I don't think you have to do that in this draft class if it doesn't allow for it. But then mostly because you have guys like Steven Means and Tyler Davison on the defensive line still trying to steal starts from other players that want to get that recognition because that they know that they're better. I think if there's a tougher time for us to try to build anything there, it's going to be in the defensive trenches. And if there's going to be someone that I really want to help out on this team, it's going to be Grady Jarrett. So. Robert Bennett, all the way to the 7. So, yeah, average is about a 6 on the confidence scale for Mykal Walker. Clay Melton says, I really want a legit defense or a legit edge, someone on the other team has to game plan for. And that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, you can have a deep draft class in a certain position, but you really can't boast if you have, like, the 4th-round guy when everyone else has, like, their own 1st and 2nd rounds. So I don't want to have to wait too long in order to get those edge positions, because those are the biggest needs for us defensively. But it's just who, though? And then getting them to work together on the outside, finding anyone up the middle. Could we resign Anthony Rush and Mike Pennell in order to be our would-be Jordan Davis, if you will? There's an idea. I trust the linebacker group. I just wish that we could fill up that spot a little bit more. And then from there, get all your offensive weapons that you can. Get your wide receivers. Get your running backs. Maybe do you want to get some more your running backs first and then wait until you get the proper pick for the wide receiver then? I think that's kind of what Tennessee did. Should have brought back Adrian Claiborne. It's weird. I don't remember him too much other than that Dallas game. I know he might have had some moments, and basically anyone that we have right now looks really good in comparison to who we have now. Like anyone that we would have had in the past. Like if I bring up, oh, maybe we should bring back Pat McKinley. It's like, yeah, he looks good, but that's not saying much because of who we have currently there. I don't think, when you want to talk about guys you have the game plan for, Adrian Claiborne is not one to come to mind. I think we have a coach that can coach up. I still say Quinn messed up Beasley. Yeah. But once he left us, he didn't really help himself beyond that point either. So, yeah. When it comes to Vic, he's very much so a question mark there. A big what if you will. But he's someone that I feel that we could have replaced too. And I think maybe we tried to do that with Tack. Maybe we're trying to do that with Dante. But yeah, they both got to be up there. To me, Adrian Claiborne was like what John Abraham had. Sacks come in bunches. Yeah, I mean, but Claiborne, in terms of his longevity, he didn't really have that profile of, hey, like I'm this guy for us. So yeah, like his games will come out where it's like every once in a while he'll mess around and have about a 3-sack game, but then you'll have like another like 8 or 9 games where he just doesn't produce anything. And I think that we're seeing a lot of that already with who we have now. So, but yeah, that's gonna pretty much wrap up my show right now. I still have quite a bit of stuff that I want to do. I Whether or not we do a stream on Saturday night is still up in the air at the moment. I might not be there, but maybe there might be a show prepared. So whoever wants to try to tune into that one, make sure you probably request it. Because if not, then it's not going to happen. Unless Davon and maybe Maggie, maybe they two, those two duke it out in the conversation. I don't know. There might be a good chance where I might not be there because I'll be busy resting up and trying to make sure that I wake up early. I'm my own YouTuber just here. I'm an AFN exclusive guy. At the moment, it's a bit too much in order for me to have a YouTube channel. Going along with this still. Maybe in the off season, but I'd need some more equipment for that. I was expecting to get it a lot earlier than I ended up doing, which is still not. But one last question before I go. What do you guys think about me potentially? Yeah, I'll say it. What do you guys think about me potentially vlogging my trip to the game? Mucho Grundy. What positions do you think we go after in free agency? I'm liking someone like a Calais Campbell, maybe even a wide receiver. We talked about that a bit ago. I wonder if the images are still up from before. Maybe. Please. They took it off. I might be able to find it. We had this discussion a little bit ago. It really kind of depends on who leaves for us. All right, because I've never really done one before. What would you guys want to know? Like if I had to build up the vlog, what would you guys want to see in it? Do I want to take snippets of some videos of like the car trip itself, either there and back? Because I'm going to be driving. There's not gonna be a whole lot I can do on the road and also trying to worry about making a video. What about at the game? Do you want to see anything, at the stadium? Because I'm gonna have to probably delegate about 45 minutes worth of time in order to compensate the parking there, because that parking was atrocious last time we went. Everything. I don't know if I'm gonna have the storage space for everything. So maybe I can scrunch up something together and put it in video form and have it on here. Maybe only on AFN. It's probably what's going to end up happening if I were to do it. I might need to think about it a little bit more, but if I get enough people asking for it, that might convince me. Ticket prices and food prices to see how much it would cost altogether. I don't know if it won't embarrassingly show off how much I've actually spent so far on trying to make this trip even possible. Oh yeah, you better believe I'm gonna get snippets of the game, but it's just like before and after anything, any antics that you might want to see before that, because if it's just the game, it don't evening matter to me, bro. It done evening matter to me. But I mean, I get it. Just trying to see. Don't. Yeah, I'm still on the fence, which is why I need convincing. You know, I don't want to do this just for like 4 people to check it out. So that's my biggest concern is that I'm gonna do all this work on this day. I mean, I would still make some of these videos and make some of these clips and have them for myself, but whether or not you guys want to partake in the experience is completely up to you guys at this point. So that'll be the last thing that I prepare for. Um, that might be what ends up taking my Saturday, just trying to get certain things sorted out. I might not be here for the Friday Night Madness because I'm going to be too busy renting out the car. And then from that point, me and a couple of my friends are going to go see the Spider-Man movie. So don't worry, I'm not going to spoil it like LaShawn McCoy for you. But yeah, that's about the updates that I can give to you guys from there. You want to see how the San Fran? You do not. Trust me, you do not. Bridget out here trying to get me jumped. I'll see. If people end up requesting for it afterward. Yeah. I want to see how they look when they get us upset for our Falcons. That'd be a lot banking on that. Ooh, imagine all that vlogs. Oh, imagine all that vlog effort and they don't even win. Ugh. If I do it, people will watch it. Mm. Mm. That's the one, so I can go to Rush Entertainment and talk my cheese. You do you, man. All right, well, slightly leaning towards yes. I'll say on the vlog idea. Like when Julio Jones scored that damn. I have that. I have that video from the last game because I went to that game and I still have that game-winning drive. Maybe if we don't win this game, I will upload that clip and just pass it off as if we did. So that might be something you might see. Well, just look at it as I was talking about with the prices and all. If someone was looking and thinking about going to the game, you can give them a price and could be educational to someone. A few other people will come. Play-by-play commentator on YouTube for anything related to the Bay. I couldn't care less about these people in the Bay Area. And I'm the closest one to these guys, so I'd really have to be banking on this idea, though. So, and then for this one about being educational, I do like that idea, but unfortunately, prices might be vastly different. You know, so it's like this is what it would look like if you wanted to go to a 49ers game, if you will. Like I'd have to put it in that way. Because every stadium has their own set of prices, the parking has their own set of prices, and then whatever amount of time that you want to wait until you get your prices is going to vary too, because you can get them last minute and have a big deal if you would have from a certain website, and then people resell them. So you might be able to have that going well for you. But for me, when I wanted to plan it in advance about my trip there, I had to make sure that I got the tickets right then and there, and that was like before like August or whatever. So that's when I got the tickets then. So like my pricing versus whatever anyone would want to get on this weekend, those are probably really, really different. Hey Vlad, I didn't get to see your show because I was too busy trying to prepare for mine, unfortunately. So I'm gonna definitely take a look at it, have a listen to it. Have it in my ear tomorrow for work. But although, what are you saying? But Vlad, since this is your intro here, what I want to ask you, because I just asked these fine folks that are tuning in, because I'm going to be going to the game this Sunday, and I want to see if you guys want a vlog of what it's like to be over here in California, and possibly going to that Levi Stadium. Because I'm kind of leaning on the fence towards not doing it, so I might need some convincing if anyone wants it. I'm definitely going to get my own clips on the game, but it's just before and after, how much do I record, because I'm not the type to record. Crazy as that sounds, right? I'm not the type to record myself doing a bunch of stuff. So. All right, well, you're liking it. See how the other side lives. Very expensive. Everything in the Bay Area is very expensive because it's like right next to Great America over here, the amusement park. And that's what makes parking just so bad. So I did get VIP parking. I did spend like the extra like $75 for that. Jeez, man. Got the rental car in the works. It's its own set of money because it's quite the lengthy drive. Food videos. How much I would spend at the game is going to be really telling about what kind of game it would be. So, yeah, that's going to be it for me. I have to tune this at an hour and a half. Still got some stuff to take care of, but I just thought, hey, any last suggestions, any last thoughts? I put them here, making sure that I get all my thoughts out of the way, because you might not see me tomorrow, or you're not going to see me at all tomorrow, but you might see me. You might not see me Saturday either. Is all I'm going to say. You might not see me Friday in the chat either, because I'll be too busy getting all this other stuff done. We got dogs barking in the background, so I'm going to tune in, say thank you all for supporting the show, and catch you next week.